2017 started off with a bang, with AFI dropping their album, the self-titled or Blood album, based on the cover art, and it was just out of left field for the band. I mean, it really kind of brought back a lot of things that we had been missing from the band and from things that just kind of were lacking in the previous album especially, but even in Crash Love, which is an album that you may have heard me talk about that I love, that I've come to love, and that kind of took a little bit of time to for me to adapt to. But this album right away is just blew me away. I was absolutely enamored with it when I first heard even the first single that they released called White Offerings. Even when they were just teasing the little clips here and there, it sounded like old AFI. It sounded like, particularly sounded like Sing the Sorrow, but that's not all there is there. There's they pull really from all eras of the band. I mean, there are songs like So Beneath You that really kind of harken back to the Black Sails Day, and it's so nice to hear them kind of dive into that without kind of fully going back to that sound or anything like that. I mean, this is still the more current or modern AFI, so if you haven't really liked the sound that you've heard from them, you're not really going to gravitate towards this. But at the same time, again, it does kind of feel more like with particularly, I would say mostly, I think they pull from Sing the Sorrow, which seems to be one of their most popular albums. I mean, that's kind of where they hit it in big and mainstream. So there are a lot of people who started off liking AFI because of that album. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who really kind of enjoy this album. This is probably going to be some people's favorite. I think it may be my favorite AFI album so far. I mean, Crash Love was up there. Art of Drowning has been my favorite, but I'm not sure at this point. I kind of go back and forth as far as which one do I like more at this point, the Blood album or Art of Drowning, just because it's such a solid record overall. There's really no downside on here. I mean, there's a couple tracks that I think aren't really up to par with the rest of the tracks, but that's just a testament to how good those other tracks actually are. I mean, right off the bat, it just hits you with everything. I mean, Still Stranger's one of my favorite tracks. Dark Snow, the beginning of the album, is just kind of this kind of dark synth rock kind of sound, and while it's not an intro track, this is one of the albums that doesn't actually feature an intro track like a lot of AFI albums have. It's a nice way to kind of get you into the groove of things of what this album is going to sound like, and it's also still got those the kind of post-punk thing they've been doing with Crash Love and Burials, and I think they did an excellent job of just encompassing everything on here. I think they're all at their best on this album, especially Davey Havok with his vocal work on here, because he does pull from the past. I mean, one of the things that's kind of been lacking in the last couple albums has been the gruffness in his voice. There were no Crash Love feature, no screaming whatsoever. Burials kind of, sort of, it was there on some tracks, but it felt a little bit forced. Here it just comes off naturally. It really feels like he's almost back to the swing of things of where he was prior to the December Underground, prior to Sing the Sorrow and those albums. It kind of feels like the smoothness has been roughed up a little bit, and while it's definitely still there as well, he really kind of shows off his range on some of these songs here. I think Jade's guitar work on here also kind of shows off different styles and different abilities on here. They've just all done an excellent job. I mean, the bass lines come through, the drumming even kind of stands out on some of these tracks here. It really feels like this is the best effort from the band in total, and that we've gotten overall. And like I said, I really think that this, it's kind of fight myself on this as far as whether I feel this or Art of Drowning is is my favorite work. I think I do kind of feel like this is the best AFI album from a technical standpoint, just because I feel like they've done so much on this on the album overall. I feel like they've all given it their all, and that they've really put their best foot forward with the Blood album. They've kind of taken some of those criticisms to heart here, and we get a different, a more enhanced AFI on this album overall. But as far as my favorite, there's the whole nostalgia thing and Heart of Drowning. I just, but that's neither here nor there. As far as how well this album holds up, I mean, obviously you can't tell by now. I'm still listening to it, still love it. I still have these tracks. I made a friend a mixtape recently and definitely included some of these tracks on there because I feel like if you're going to introduce somebody to AFI, this is a great place to start just because it kind of has one foot in the past, but at the same time, it's still the current side of the band. So I think that this overall, after a year, it's still a fantastic record. It's definitely something you should be listening to. If you kind of skipped over it or haven't given it a chance, I really suggest that you do listen to it if you like any kind of rock and roll, punk music, or post-punk, and anything like that, synth pop. You really should give this album a chance because there's a lot going on here, and there's definitely something for everybody to love. Thank you so much for watching the 1 year later review of AFI's self-titled Blood album. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more.